Hello, everybody. Oh, I'm kind of liking the camera today. It's holding its place. It's not too close. It's not too far. Anyway, welcome all. I think this works today, actually. A little bright, but I'll live with that. Let me see if I can adjust the brightness a tad. You know how I get picky about these things. Oh, actually, that's the brightness from the window. Oh, yeah. It's the brightness from the window. Okay, well, then the brightness actually probably gives a little more color, which isn't a bad thing. Anyway, welcome, everybody. Hello, hello. Let me get TikTok rolling. Actually, I'd like to put the light on behind me, too. Hold on. I think it looks nice. There we go. Just to give a little bright, but it fills the room in a little bit, which I don't oppose. All right, let me get TikTok rolling. I've already got TikTok set to go. There we go. Excellent. Excellent. Hello, Eric Nordstrom in Sweden. Here's our TikTokers coming. Mirror your video. There we go. All right. Hey, Deemer. Hello, Corey in Michigan. All right, there's Darcia. Hey, Darcia. TikTokers are arriving. Welcome, Chris David. Hey, Nick. No sound. Oh, let's unplug and replug. All right. I unplugged and replugged my mic. I've got my attachment for this mic finally, which is a better mic. Well, better than the microphone on my iPad. That's better. Hopefully. There we go. Okay. Yeah, it doesn't always work to start with. Thank you, KT, for the first gift of the day. Thank you, Cool, as well for gifts. Anyway, DBZ is in the UK. Let's do, we haven't done it in a while. Irina's in Canada. Let's kind of say where you guys are from, because it's always kind of fun to sort of see that. So let's start with that. Good afternoon, Julian. Thank you, John S., for the gift. You got notifications today. Uh-oh. That means the trolls are finding out too. Hey, at least TikTok's telling you about me. Thank you, Brandon, for the awesome bear. I think they literally call it, you're amazing bear. I call it a fabulous bear. Yeah, let's go. People tell where you're weighing in from. Just always think it's kind of fun to see. UK, several UKs, of course, the Americas. Oh, Tampa. Oh my God. You're in Tampa, Deb? Wow. Is Tampa not being evacuated entirely, or what's the deal with that? Only because I have CNN on, but not all the time. I haven't seen everything going on. Karen is in Florida too. Amit is in Israel. Nice. Snipers in Australia. Oh, that's nice. We don't often get you guys. I think it's early. Isn't it like some horrible hour of the morning in Australia? I know it's always like not a good time. Jerry's in Ireland. Lovely. Hannah's from Long Island, but in Missouri. Thank you, Toketh. I'm going to yawn again. Sorry. Ooh, 6 a.m. That's kind of what I figured. Yeah. Cool's in Finland. I always forget that. Boppo's in Gothenburg, which we love. Thank you, Jorge, for the gift. Yeah, John S. I'm not going to quote that, but funny. England, Burbank, Dripping Springs. So that's a funny name. Texas. Wow. Hey, Andre. Now, where are you, Andre? I don't remember. Because André Gallon. Are you one of our Canadians? I don't remember. But that name is super French. Richard Martin's teasing us with I am, but not telling us where he is. All right. We can get rolling. Thank you for the gift, Kim. Oh, you're in Montreal. Okay, you are one of the Canadians. I thought. And the no Québécois. Anyway, so welcome, guys. Wales. Lovely. So welcome, guys. I'm John Aravosis. This is my show. We talk about the latest news from the U.S. election. We talk about the latest news from Ukraine as well. I've got you guys on my YouTube on my iPad in front of me. My camera's a little off center today, but honestly, it's working, so I don't want to mess with it. So that's why you see me looking a little to the side, but it's okay. TikTok, I've got you guys set up very nicely, so that's good. Thank you, Evra, Mary, Debbie, several roses there. As always, I'm going to hit you guys up and say, please do keep the gifts coming. I do this for free and I do it for a living. This is my job. Nobody pays me. The way I pay the bills is with your guys' gifts, your subscriptions, all that kind of stuff. So if you can help out with gifts, I really appreciate it. Even better, if you want to buy a subscription, which is basically just a monthly pass, you don't have to. Thank you, Hellfire. Thank you, Maddie. Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you, Suma. But it kind of helps me out to have regular subscribers. And I do a special show every Saturday morning for you guys as a thank you and stuff like that. All right, let's get rolling, guys. So I'm going to start with something negative about the election. Okay, we're going to do election first, then we'll do Ukraine. But negative because I think it's a very, look, I like to tell you guys the truth. I always say, the Trumpers come here and they want us to lie because they're used to being lied to. We don't do that. I'm here to tell you the truth about the election. Sometimes it's good news for Kamala Harris. Sometimes it's not. Thank you, Carolyn. Thank you, Richard. But I like to pass along the scary news too, because it's important you know what's actually going on. Because like I said, unlike some people, I think the truth is kind of important. Thank you, Diana. And it's important anyway, because if Kamala Harris isn't doing as well in some ways, you need to know that if you're on her side, right? To make it better. In any case, Harry Enton over at CNN, he is their poll watcher. He's very quirky and very funny. He's also very good. And he was looking at the polls and said, the way the polls are today, and this is the good, there's good news and bad news. The good news is the way the polls are today, Kamala Harris would beat Biden 276 electoral votes to 262. What that means, in the US, you have to win, oh boy, I always try to explain this for the foreigner, even for Americans, it's confusing. In order to win the presidential election in the US, it is not based on the vote overall, right? So, for example, Hillary Clinton got 3 million more votes than Donald Trump. Thank you, Ernie. In 2016, she lost. Thank you, Pedro, for the gift. In 2020, Al Gore got 500,000 votes more than George Bush. Did I say George Bush? Maybe Donald Trump. I meant Hillary Clinton, 2016. Al Gore beat George Bush by 500,000 votes in 2020. George Bush won. Because in America, it doesn't matter how many votes you get in a way, in the aggregate. What matters is which states you win. Each state has a certain number of points given to it, okay? I sort of call it points to make it easier. Thank you, Randy Fred. The smallest states, or Washington, D.C., where I live, which isn't even a state, has 3 points. Okay. If you win Washington, D.C., you get 3 points. Thank you, Carol. And winning means 50.1% of the votes, right? So it means you win the state by 1 vote, you get all the points of the state. It's most states are winner take all that way. Thank you, Ava, for the gift as well. If you win California, which is a big state, you get 54 points. That's huge, right? Washington, D.C., 3. Alaska, I believe, is still 3 because it's a small state in terms of population. Some of the states in between, I always forget my Illinois. I always ask you guys, Illinois might be 18, give or take. Anyway, it's a little bit of a weird system. Thank you, Adventures. But what it means is just because someone is winning the national polls doesn't mean they've won the election, because they've got to win enough states to have 270 points. Again, it's crazy. I think our system is insane. It sounds like somebody was drunk and came up with it, to be honest. But if you have 270 points, so you win enough states to add 270 points, you win the election. The problem is, as things stand currently, Kamala Harris wins with 276 points. You need 270. She would get 276 points, and Trump would get 262. But what Harry Enton at CNN said, which is very interesting, he said, but the polls were wrong in 2016 and they were wrong in 2020. The polls, thank you, Cool, for the gift on YouTube. The polls were wrong. They underestimated Donald Trump's support. If the polls are wrong today to the same degree they were wrong in 2020, the polls today would mean that Donald Trump wins the election in a blowout. Donald Trump would have 312 electoral votes or points. Kamala Harris would have only 226. You need 270 to win. That is what is so scary about where things are right now. The polls are good for Kamala Harris, but when it comes to Donald Trump, the polls are often wrong. Why are they wrong? They're wrong in large part, I think, because, and we know this historically, people lie when they're asked whether they're voting for a horrible human being. We know this in the past. The Republicans would run a lot of racists for their candidates, especially states like North Carolina, the southern states. North Carolina, Jesse Helms, who was a horrible racist. He was a horrible homophobe as well, hated gay people, but really hated blacks. And Jesse Helms, people would refuse to admit to pollsters that they were voting for Jesse Helms because he's a racist bigot. But they would vote for him. They just wouldn't want to tell the person on the telephone, oh, I'm voting for the racist bigot, right? Trump is the same problem. People know he's a pig. And people, interestingly enough, Trump voters, as much as they say, like, oh, they love Trump, they're afraid to admit they're voting for him. That's why I think the polls are not always right when talking about Donald Trump, and it's a little scary. So just keep that in mind. Now, I'm going to talk about a New York Times poll yet that's good for Kamala Harris. But again, it's just good to keep it in mind. I mean, they do, Tired Guy. The problem is I don't know that they know how to do it. I mean, Tired Guy says, if the polls are wrong before, don't the pollsters take this into account? The problem is I'm not sure how you take it into account, right? I mean, you could, how do you take into account the percentage of people lying to you, right? That's the problem. People are lying about their support. I mean, do you just go in and say, okay, any Trump supporter who tells us they're voting or excuse me, any Republican who says they're not voting for Trump, we should take 5% or 10% of those and just assume they're voting for Trump? Maybe, but it's kind of a weird calculus to say we're going to interview people and we're literally not going to believe 10% of you who we interview. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how the pollsters do it, you know? In any case, it's something to be concerned about, obviously. Thank you, Chazak. Thank you, Jocelyn. Having said that, there is a new New York Times, is it Marist? No, a Siena poll that's very good for Kamala Harris. It's the first time that Harris has been ahead in this particular poll. Last time, right after the debate with Trump, she was tied. Now she's ahead by 3 points. Again, huge. Now, the 3 points she's ahead is still within the margin of error. One of the things we talk about is how pollsters know they can't be 100% correct. So they build in a margin of error. They say, these are the results. For example, 49 Harris, 46 Trump is the latest New York Times poll. 49 Harris percent, 46% Trump. Thank you, Martin. But they say the margin of error is 3%, meaning that's a tie because it could be 3% off, 3 percentage points off. So 46 to 49 is statistically a tie. Having said that, you'd still rather be 3 points ahead than even. You know what I mean? I mean, it's statistically a tie. Thank you. Oh, Blue. Thank you, Blue, for sending the subscriptions. Appreciate that. Keep the gifts coming, guys. A little more on this poll. What's interesting about this poll, though, which I like about this poll, is it's looking at a snapshot in time of the same poll, and you see Harris doing 3 points better in the same poll. That's good news. What is also good is some of the specific information we're hearing from this poll. For example, voters are now more likely to credit Kamala Harris as an agent of change than Donald Trump. Thank you, Life. Thank you, Adventures, for the gifts. Up until now, these polls found that Trump was seen as the candidate who was going to come and change things. Harris is now that candidate. Thank you, Louise, for the rock star. That's Harris now, which is interesting. Also, I always thought it was kind of funny thinking of Trump as the agent of change when it's like Trump was already president for 4 years. I mean, yes, he's changing things from Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, but thank you, Janice. I've not seen the pumpkin head before. That was very funny. They've got a Halloween gift on TikTok that's like your whole head is a pumpkin. That was very sweet of you. Thank you for that, and made me laugh as well. Oh my. Oh yeah, so Trump up until now was seen as the agent of change, because sometimes that works well for elections. People are like, oh, I want to change, right? It was seen as Trump. Now it's, thank you, Colleen. Colleen's got another one. Someone has to grab that picture for me. Colleen, get another pumpkin gift. So that's good for Harris, that she's seen as the agent of change. A little more specifics. Beep, 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 beep. Actually, where was this? She was seen as the agent of change among non-white voters, so people of color, youth, which was very good as well. Thank you, Elizabeth, for the gift. Oh, and her support among Republicans went up. Thank you, Marie, for the gift on TikTok. Previously, she had 5% support among Republicans. Now she's got 9% support among Republicans. That's good because it starts to show Republicans leaving Trump. And again, it's 4 points, but 4 percentage points is not a small number in this election where the polls are all tied. Thank you, Fanutis. Lots of gifts coming in. Thanks, guys. Let's move on. The New York Times reports today. So this is interesting. Bob Woodward is a very famous American journalist. He is one of the 2 journalists who broke the Watergate story. Remember in the 1970s, 1973 or so. Thank you, Eileen. Actually, those of you abroad may or may not know, because this is like American history. You wouldn't necessarily be up on this. Thank you, Eileen. Thank you, Louisa. Thank you, Eileen, again. Back in 1973, we had a president, Richard Nixon. Richard Nixon was involved in a crime. He basically had people break into the Democratic Party headquarters in Washington, D.C. And again, before Donald Trump, this was considered a big deal, committing crimes particularly as president. Thank you, Courtney. Thank you, Ava. Thank you, Eileen, Louisa. Nixon had to resign. It was such a huge scandal. Now, I'm trying to remember why I'm talking about Watergate and Nixon. I have no idea why we brought up Watergate and Nixon. What were we talking about? I'm trying to think of why this. I was going to talk about this next New York Times story about Trump secretly speaking with Putin. And for some reason, it made me think of Nixon and Watergate. I don't remember why. Woodward. Thank you, Hannah and Sam. Okay, thank you. Yes, yes. So the author of the new book about Trump is Bob Woodward. He's one of the two reporters that broke the scandal that Nixon had committed this crime. And he basically brought down Richard Nixon. The president had to resign, which is a huge scandal. I don't even know. And any of you historians out there, have we ever had an American president resign other than Richard Nixon? Just curious if our historian folks out there know. I'm going to guess it's like some name that we all go, that was president? That guy was a president? But yes, the book and the movie is called All the President's Men. It's very good. It's very good. So yes, folks on TikTok are saying we don't think there was any other president that had to resign like that. So in any case, Bob Woodward is a very good investigative reporter, very objective, critical of everybody. And he wrote a new book coming out shortly. And the book says that after he left office, Donald Trump spoke to Vladimir Putin 7 times and nobody knows why. Multiple government officials were asked about it. And they said, okay, did you know Donald Trump was doing some like diplomacy or whatever with, the leader of one of America's biggest enemies? I mean, and all the government officials said, we had no idea. Like, we had no idea Trump was doing this. Nobody knows what Trump was talking about. Trump has a long, creepy relationship with Vladimir Putin. He has always genuflected, always gotten down on his knees to Vladimir Putin. He believes Putin over America's own intelligence services. Putin, we know, tried to steal the 2016 election for Donald Trump. Putin actually, Russian government officials offered to help the Trump campaign. They actually contacted the Trump campaign and said, we're working with the Russian government. We want to help you win the election. And Donald Trump's son, Don Jr., wrote an email back when he was told about this and said, quote, I love it. Like, let's meet the Russians. This is great. The Russian government wants to help us win an election. Total treasonous behavior, totally un-American behavior. Don Jr. admitted it in writing. And then the best part is, because the trolls always go, it's not true. Don Jr. himself, Trump's son, released the emails publicly where he admitted that he welcomed the Russian government helping Trump win the election. I mean, again, the dumbest guy. He thought somehow this exonerated him, made him look good. Just amazing. Thank you, Larissa. Thank you, Sunshine. Multiple gifts from Sunshine, Randy, Fred, and more gifts from Sunshine. Thank you, guys. So getting back to this. So Trump has these secret phone calls with Putin. We also find out from the Woodward book, which is interesting, that Trump during COVID, at the height of COVID, at the very beginning, okay? I think it might have been April or May. This is when COVID was really bad, okay? When people were starting to die like crazy in the beginning of COVID, and we were all trapped at home and everything else. Trump took some rare Abbott point of care test machines. So some rare test machines we had for COVID, very rare, and some ventilators that, again, were very rare, gave them to Vladimir Putin in secret. The ventilators we knew about. We didn't know he gave him this testing equipment. This testing equipment was incredibly rare. Gave it to Putin, and he didn't, thank you, Sunshine, appreciate the, and Janice as well, didn't just give it to Putin to help poor Russians survive. The gift was for Putin to use the equipment and like the test on himself. It was exclusively to keep Putin alive. Okay. I mean, thanks, Vlad, or thanks, Ash. I mean, this is horrible. And Kamala Harris went nuts on it today, understandably. We had Americans dying, and Trump decided, turn off my thing. We had Americans dying, and Trump decided to take some of our COVID testing equipment and our equipment we needed to keep people alive in hospitals, ventilators, and gave it to a foreign dictator who Trump has always had creepy ties to, Vladimir Putin, an enemy, because honestly, Vladimir Putin dying, I mean, who thinks that would be a bad thing, right? I mean, in 2020, like the idea of Vladimir Putin possibly dying, American government officials should be not a bad thing, right? To give him this secretly when Americans are the worst part. Putin tells Trump, don't tell anybody that you gave me this equipment, because Putin says, I don't want you to tell anybody because people will get mad at you, not me. So Putin told Trump, you're going to get in trouble for doing this. Don't tell anybody. I'll keep your secret. Do you know what it means when a foreign enemy of America has a secret on the American president that could get him into trouble politically? That's called blackmail, guys. Like, you never want to be in a situation where a foreign leader, an enemy of the United States, mind you, which Russia is and was at the time that Trump was president, an enemy of the United States had a secret on Donald Trump that if the public found out, they would be furious with Donald Trump. And Putin had that information on Trump. And we've been saying all along that Putin probably, I mean, this isn't the only thing Putin has on Trump, but this is the first thing we now know for a fact Putin has on Trump. And it came out publicly. Now, it's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. I mean, it's not treason. People are asking if it's treason on TikTok. It's not officially treason unless we're at war. So that's sort of the first thing. You've got to be at war. Thank you, Randy, Fred, and Hazel, for the witchy kitty. You have to be at war for it to be officially treason. It is certainly un-American behavior, and we've talked about this from the beginning. And again, Trump supporters, if they cared about America, if they were really patriots, they would care about these things, but they don't. All right. A little more here. Where is this? Oh, there's a little more. Actually, there's a little more from this book as well. Listen to this. Biden faulted Barack Obama, who was his president. Remember? Thank you, Randy. Thank you, Bryce, for the gifts. Barack Obama was president. Biden was vice president at the time. Barack Obama was faulted by Biden privately for screwing up the response to Russia's initial, more limited invasion of Ukraine in 2014. So the Russian invasion of Ukraine actually started in 2014. It did not start, now. It did not start 2 years ago. 2.5 years ago was a new invasion where Russia invaded with even more troops, took even more land. But the first invasion where they took troops was back in 2014 when they took Crimea in southern Ukraine. Okay, so listen to this. Biden said about Barack Obama's response to Putin in that first invasion, "That's why we are here. Barack never took Putin seriously." So interestingly enough, I'm going to move my shirt here. Oops, just to get it out of the way so you're not having to look at my shirt behind you. I thought that was very interesting that Biden was criticizing Obama for not being harsh enough against Russia during the first invasion, which a lot of people agree, by the way. Also, Kamala Harris criticized, wait a minute, wait. There was something else here. No, that's it. A little more on the election, and then we'll move to Ukraine. Trump claims, Trump is continuing to claim that, illegal aliens, illegal immigrants, whatever, people here illegally, I will not call them undocumented because I think that's bullshit, like Orwellian language. They aren't people who, I mean, again, some of you get pissed at me for this, but I don't care. These are not people who lost their documents. These are people who came here illegally. If I went illegally to France, I would be there illegally. I would not be undocumented. I would be somebody who literally snuck into France and stayed illegally and was trying to stay there. So I have very little sympathy, as you all know, who watch this regularly, for people who cross the border illegally, because I would love to do it in Europe. And I would also expect to go to jail for a very long time if I decide to sneak into Europe and stay there. And I would not expect any sympathy from any European going, he didn't come illegally, he's undocumented. I'm not undocumented. I literally violated the immigration rules. In any case, it's a small point, but it pisses me off on the immigration debate, to be honest. So let's go on. The Trump claims that people who are here illegally are voting. And he keeps talking about it. Remember yesterday, some of the Trump trolls were saying, oh, all the illegals are voting, this kind of crap. Well, Heritage Foundation, I didn't know this. One of the studies out there about, voting by people here illegally was done by the Heritage Foundation. The Heritage Foundation is the top Republican think tank. They are now MAGA. They're Trump 100%. They're the #1 Republican Party think tank in Washington, D.C. Listen to this. The Heritage Foundation has recorded about 24 instances where non-citizens were penalized for voting between 2003 and 2023. Guys, in 20 years, 2003 to 2023, they've got 24 instances, 24. They've got one per year, one example per year of people here illegally voting. One, a country of 330 million people. Okay, that's how many illegal people they found voting. The foundation found just 1,500 proven instances of overall voter fraud, everyone, including American citizens, despite billions of votes being cast. So in the entire period of 20 years, they found 1,500 examples overall of voter fraud from American citizens included. That's it, 1,500. In 20 years, that's like 150 a year. And like I said, billions of votes were cast, 1,500. This is the bullshit, guys, again, that comes from the Trump supporters and from Donald Trump himself. It's all a lie. It's all just a lie. Thank you, E17. But just remember, anytime you hear this, tell people, no, it's bullshit. There literally is no evidence of anybody voting illegally. There is such a small, 150 people a year voting illegally, and one person a year who's here illegally voting. That's it. One. And then I guarantee you, the MAGA person you're talking to is going to go, one is too many. And you're going to go, yes, one is too many. But the news is 150 are American citizens cheating. One is a foreigner. If we're trying to really stop voter fraud and you think 150 votes a year is a horrible number, I don't think it is, but let's pretend it is. Shouldn't you go after the 149 and not focus on the one? Like, you can stop a lot more voter fraud by trying to fix the 149 votes that are illegal, not just the one vote, right? But again, they're not here to fix elections. They're here to bash brown people. That's what it's all about. All right, a little more here. Oh, that's it, actually. Let's move on to Ukraine. All right, we're up at the half point of the show. So this is the point of the show. Anybody who's new on TikTok, we shift over from talking about the elections to talking about Ukraine, the war in Ukraine. At the end, once I'm done talking about Ukraine, we then can have questions. Actually, I've always kind of wondered about this. What do you guys think, mods? I've always wondered, since I just finished talking election stuff, should we talk about it a little bit first? Like, I sometimes see people commenting, and I feel like when I switch to Ukraine, I'm killing the discussion a little bit. You know what I mean? Do you guys want to chat a little bit about what we just talked about, all the election news, or should I cover the Ukrainian stuff first, and then we just open it up? Keep going? Okay, I'll keep going. Just curious. All right. Mellow Man, since we're getting into the election stuff, Mellow Man, fair enough question. Are the Democrats sending the hurricane to Florida to sway the election? Mellow Man, if Democrats could control the weather, by the way, wait, the other thing is, like, crazy people also think Jews control the weather. That's like there was a crazy Washington, D.C. member of the city council who just got arrested, I think, who went on this rant a couple of years ago, and he thought, like, he did a video thinking this was on like Instagram or something, thinking, because everyone agrees with him, and he's driving into work and it's snowing, and he does a rant for Instagram about how it's the Jews who did this. The Jews controlled the weather, and they made it snow early in Washington, D.C. And again, the guy thought this was so normal that he's like, I'm going to post it on Instagram. Everyone's going to agree with me. So yes, the Jews do not control the weather. Democrats don't either. If we did, or if they did, you would be having lots of storms at the right time. So you'd have storms hitting like Republican cities when elections were happening. But nope, can't. And the Jews do not have space lasers either, which Marjorie Taylor Greene accused them of having. Thank you, Wolford. That was another thing. Marjorie Taylor Greene, who's that crazy Republican member of Congress, the big Trump supporter, she claimed that that Jews had space lasers that they were using to start forest fires in California. I'm not sure why a Jew would want to start a forest fire in California. That alone seems a little weird to me, but the notion that they control space lasers, like, the Jews got together and, crowdfunded their own space laser to put in space is a little weird, I have to say. A little crazy. Anyway, so let's talk Ukraine then. Dave, 957 of Vladimir Putin's special 3-day military operation in Ukraine. Kamala Harris dodged a question today about Ukraine joining NATO. She said, if and when she said Washington, let me see this real quick. Washington will address Ukraine's possible entry into NATO if and when it arrives at that point. Now, that's a little bit of a bullshit answer because, because what she said was, we'll talk about it when we talk about it. Like, right? We'll talk about whether Ukraine should join NATO if we get to the point of discussing whether Ukraine should join NATO. She didn't really give an answer there. I'm also not quite sure why she didn't want to say, I don't know. Maybe she's afraid of pissing off Putin, and the election's only a month away, so she's being careful. I don't think it's the best answer. I think you should give a stronger answer. And say, for example, if Vladimir Putin's afraid of NATO, of Ukraine joining NATO, maybe he ought to maybe he ought to pull out of Russia. He pull out of Ukraine. I would say. But I think your answer is a little weak, to be honest. A little more here. North Korea is likely to deploy regular troops to Ukraine to help Russia, according to South Korea's defense minister. As Russia and North Korea, this is a quote, as Russia and North Korea have signed a mutual treaty akin to a military alliance, the possibility of such a deployment is highly likely, South Korea's defense minister said. So not saying that there's any troops yet of North Korea in Ukraine, but it's highly likely they will be deployed there to help the Russians, South Korea is saying. Russian state media faced unprecedented cyber attacks on Putin's birthday. This was great. This is from the Kyiv Independent, but they were summarizing a Reuters article. Cyber attack was carried out by Ukrainian hackers as a congratulations on Putin's birthday the other day, according to undisclosed sources. Thought that was kind of funny. France is going to deliver the first Mirage 2000 fighter jets to Ukraine in early 2025. The planes will be equipped with new equipment, air-to-ground combat capabilities, and anti-electronic warfare defense. As you know, Ukraine is getting F-16s. Sorry, my back is itching. I hate that. Is getting F-16s from the Americans. Thank you, Charles. Keep the gifts coming, guys. F-16s from the Americans, and the French are sending Mirages, which are also fourth-generation fighters in sort of the same ballpark as the F-16s, which is really very good of France to be doing. Thank you, Charles. Kyiv Independent, ammunition. Oh, this was interesting. This was a great story. So Slovakia is one of those bad countries now, like Hungary, where it's being run by somebody who's pro-Russian and basically hates the West, wishes the Soviet Union still existed. As far as I'm concerned, that's who these guys are. They're people who wish the Soviet Union still existed, and they wish that Slovakia and Hungary were part of the Soviet bloc again, where people were dying, people lived under communist dictatorships, but these guys could be happy because they get to be puppets of Putin, and that's what they want. Well, the Putin puppet currently in Slovakia, name spelled like Fico. I forget if it's Fico, I think is how you pronounce it. Serbia is another one, yeah, but a total puppet of Putin in Slovakia was refusing. They cut off weapons to Ukraine. Thank you, Sunshine. And they even accused the former government of treason for giving, I forget, it was the F-16, something they gave to the Ukrainians. They got very upset. Well, the Slovakian people got together. Slovakians, I believe, living in Ukraine, got together and decided to raise money for the Ukrainian military since the Slovakian government is no longer providing weapons. They raised 4.5 million euros, which is almost $5 million for the Czech Artillery Initiative. This was the initiative the Czech government's doing where they're trying to buy artillery from all over the world for Ukraine. 4 million euros have already been spent, with another 500,000 euros spent soon at the end of the year. So that was I just thought that was kind of cool. I like that the government's being evil. So the people said, we'll raise money. That's $5 million, 5 million euros. It's not nothing. It helps. It doesn't hurt, but it's also just a great gesture. Hungary is blocking new European Union sanctions or continuing sanctions on Russia, of course, because Hungary, as I just told you, is a puppet of the Russians, holding up a $50 billion loan package for Ukraine as well. Listen to this from the Hungarians. We believe that this issue, the prolongation of the Russian sanctions, should be decided after the U.S. elections. We have to see in which direction the future U.S. administration is going with this issue. So the Hungarians want to hold it up, hoping Donald Trump gets elected, because Donald Trump is the only person out there who's a bigger suck-up to the Russian dictatorship than the Hungarians and the Slovakians, is Donald Trump. So, and I do blame Hungarians because you voted for the guy, just like Donald Trump. If Donald Trump gets to be president, you get to blame Americans for picking kind of a pig as our president. Same thing goes for Hungary. Same thing goes for Slovakia. You own it. You're a democracy. You own it. So, we can talk about stuff now. I will also do a quick pitch. I won't do a long one, but I do have, we still got our auction going on Discord. I've got a number of items from my mom's, because basically we're dealing with like my mom's estate. And folks had mentioned, put some items up for auction. So, because we're getting rid of a ton of stuff. So I put a number of things on Discord. We've got a lot of cool stuff. One of her paintings, a really cool vintage magnifying glass, a cool Christmas ornament that probably is a Rothko. What else? A really cool Bavarian crystal decanter, Christmas manger, Ukrainian Easter egg, Japanese demi-tasse. I'm not going to show you everything, but because I don't want to waste all the time. But this is the watercolor of Mom's that we're auctioning off. That's very cool. I'm going to pull this. Let me pull this here so I can see it. But we can either mail the whole thing, or I can take it out of the frame and put it in a tube, because it's going to cost probably $60 to mail within the U.S. I looked into it. I will bet you. A few other little things. I won't take too much here. Oh, I was telling you about the driftwood. This is the driftwood. I was telling you it's 20 inches. This thing's amazing. And it's just a beautiful piece. But I was telling you guys yesterday about the driftwood and how much I liked it. This is how big the big one is. I love this thing. I think it's beautiful. I just don't need more stuff, or I would keep the driftwood, because Mom's had this thing for 50 years. This is the decanter that's absolutely beautiful. We found out it's German. Nachtmann, something like that. But it's a beautiful decanter. These things actually are quite expensive, I found out by Googling them, but it's a really nice one. Again, Mom's had it since the 60s or 70s for sure. Couple other little pieces. I don't want to do too much for you guys. Oh, actually, this is the Christmas ornament. I love these. No one's bidding on the Christmas ornament. I love these things. I think it's a Rodco, but it's hard to know because there's no little thing on it. But I love these. I think, the ceramic, the ceramic Christmas ornaments, you know what I mean? But I'm a big sucker for those things. A couple other things. Oh, actually, this is the mirror I was talking about. I just think it's the prettiest thing. You guys, try to get it in focus for you guys on YouTube. It's just really pretty. I mean, it's kind of girly, but I think it's just called Art Nouveau. I think, I forget. I just think it's the prettiest thing. But people are bidding on it. It's just very pretty. Like my sister, was telling my sister about it. She goes, I know. She goes, I almost took it, but what would I do with it? It's not like I'm going to use it. You know what I mean? All right, I'm only going to show you maybe one or two more things, and then we'll go. Actually, I may not take more time here. You can go and check them out on the. What was this? Real quick. Oh, and Mom painted a whole manger scene. We've got like a Virgin Mary, Joseph, and baby Jesus that Mom painted. Anyway, a lot of cool stuff. Go check it out on the Discord. It's a magnifying glass. Yeah. That you kind of use if your eyesight's getting worse, or I guess in general, if you want to use a magnifying glass. But you did put a bid in today. Thank you, Martin. Appreciate that. Yeah, there's just a lot of, I try to pick, we do auctions regularly. And I haven't done an auction for 2 months since I've been in Chicago. We do auctions regularly anyway, just as sort of a way to fundraise for my work, but also I think it's fun. And it's sort of finding interesting things for you guys. And I just, like I said, I thought it was sort of fun to, look for Mom's stuff. I don't know if I've got anything else. Nah, I think the rest of it is too hard to grab. Yeah, I'm looking here. Oh, you know what? Here. Ooh. Last little thing I'll grab is, yes, these are the Demitas cups that I think are just I think Dawn may be trying to get them for her daughter, so maybe I shouldn't push them. But they're just, if you saw them in person, the color is stronger. It's like a very strong color in person, and a little pagoda on the back. They're absolutely adorable. I think they're stunning. They really are. I mean, again, you've got to see it in person. It's even more stunning in person. But made in Japan. And they come with, there's only 2 of them because Mom broke the rest, but they come with like 4 or 5 plates because the plates are Mom still got the plates. So you'll have backup plates. The plates of the same design. They're gorgeous. I mean, again, I try to sort of give you guys stuff that I want, but I really can't keep this. I don't need more. My mom actually had a bunch of Greek Demitas cups that are I think they're made in Germany, but they're with the little Greek key. It's called the Greek design on the outside. And I got those because there were like 8 or 10 of them. And I thought for dinner parties, it's really pretty. And they remind me of my mom, and they're Greek. And then I saw these and I went, oh my God. But to me, these are cute, like for a couple. If I were a couple, I'd be like, coffee in the afternoon or the early evening, a little, coffee thing to have that with your loved one. Anyway, I like this kind of stuff. Thank you, Big Mike, for the gift. All right. Nordic Warrior is asking on, so I'm sorry, you can go to Discord and find the auctions. The mods can help you figure it out. It's not always the easiest thing to figure out. The auctions will go through Friday, so feel free. But thank you guys that have already bid. Nordic Warrior was asking, do you think Florida will flip blue this year? Florida is one of the key states. I keep forgetting to bring my map downstairs that Carol had given me. Oh, my shirt's got stuff on it from everything in the house. Sorry about that. Florida typically goes Republican. they've had Democratic governors before. Members of Congress tend to be, well, the senators tend to be Republicans. Democrats keep hoping they'll get Florida. At least from what I'm hearing, I don't think, I mean, I'm not convinced Democrats think they're going to get Florida or Texas, because Texas and Florida are the ones that keep getting interesting, but Democrats kind of keep losing it. So I don't know. Now the Floridians, okay, Andy says, yes, we are trying to go blue. So I'm not going to poo-poo it. But I mean, but a lot of people think, just people I was talking to kind of felt like Florida might be, again, try, right? But feeling like it was going away, some ice cream gifts. Ooh, what is that? I am Earth's moon. That sounds kind of fun. Not sure how we do it, but ice cream. Oh, those ice creams. I think you meant an actual ice cream. Ice cream gifts on here works too. Thank you for that. The ice cream. I thought you mentioned you wanted to send ice cream. I'm like, thank you. That's interesting. I like the ice cream gifts online too. Thank you. Thank you, Sandria, for the rose. Anyway, yeah, guys. So let's talk. What else we got? Yeah, Paula. I don't know what to tell you. Discord is confusing at first. It is. The Christmas ornament's beautiful. It is. It's just, I love those things. I'm just afraid I can pack it up to mail it. I'm a little afraid to pack it up in my suitcase, and I don't feel like mailing it to myself. You know what I mean? But to mail it in its own little box, it'll mail fine. But yeah, Discord can be confusing to use at first. It took me a while to figure it out, so I know what you mean. I mean, if anybody can help you, if you can ask, if you maybe explain what issues you're having, but it's just not always easy to figure out, I find, What else we got? Oh, interesting. Oh, that's interesting, Harvey. Maybe we shouldn't say that publicly. That's interesting. I'm not going to repeat that because I don't want to get anybody in trouble. Annie, thank you. Spooktacular. That was very cool. That looked like a cool gift too. Thank you for that. There are new Halloween gifts, which I'm very happy about. That's good to hear though, Harvey. Yeah, very interesting. And good to see you, Harvey, by the way. That was a very pretty gift. That was really good and cool too. Like I like when TikTok does cool. What I wish TikTok would make the gifts last a little longer. I know, like when you get a crazy expensive gift, they last longer, but they ought to do it for like the still not cheap gifts. Like if you're spending $5 or $10 on a gift, that's a good amount to be spending. They ought to let them last a little longer because I think it's more fun and I think it might get more people into it, to be honest. But what do I know? What do I know? All right, guys. Yeah, so let's talk election. Deemer says, what do you think Ukraine should do to stop the small but consistent advances Russia's making? I mean, Deemer, I don't know. I mean, honestly, they would need more support from us, but I feel like it's almost too late at this point. You know what I mean? We've already sort of given Ukraine all the support we can, but we gave Ukraine all the support we're willing to give. I mean, we're still giving more support, but the big stuff we already gave. Thank you, Sarah, for the pumpkin and Chazak. But at the same time, we never gave Ukraine enough, and we knew it. We knew we didn't give Ukraine enough to win. And now they're tied with Russia, and Russia's advancing a little. How do you stop that? I don't know. I think they need more help from us. I mean, to some degree, what they need, thank you, Macab, they need to be, for example, take the gloves off, let them use our weapons to hit deep inside Russia, and they can hit the Russian supply lines, hit the Russian supplies, hit the airfields where the Russian planes are coming from. But, we're not going to do that because we're all afraid of Vladimir Putin. I mean, they need more jets, but coming slowly, Scott. Yep. More cluster bombs, says Colin. Yeah. It's crazy. But yeah, force the front line back. Victor Bout, yes. User 919. I kind of meant to bring that up the other day. Thanks for rising it. So Victor Bout is the merchant of death. He is a Russian who very famously is a Russian arms merchant to all the worst terrorists and evil people in the world. He was in prison, I think in the U.S. or a NATO ally, but I think it was the U.S., maybe Germany. Remind me, was it Germany? Maybe he was the one in Germany. Anyway, he was in prison in a Western prison, and he got released because of Brittany Griner. Now, so it was Germany. Okay, thank you, Annie. I was going to say, as soon as I thought about it, I was like, I think Germany was where he was. Brittany Griner, who, I'm sorry, but I think she's an idiot. We can say it now. But Brittany Griner went to Moscow to do basketball or something, which I think is dumb enough already. But she alleges she had a vape with, marijuana or CBD or whatever the hell it is in her suitcase. And I just think you're a freaking idiot if you're doing that. I mean, whatever. Thank you, user 919. So she gets caught. She gets sentenced to, 10 years in prison, whatever the hell it is. And we are forced to release the merchant of death in exchange for this female basketball star who was kind of an idiot. I'm sorry. But thank you, Sobo, for subscribing. And he now is reportedly brokering a deal to sell Russian weapons to the Houthis, rebels, the Houthi terrorists in Yemen, who are the guys that keep attacking international shipping. It looks like so far he's negotiating firearms. He's not negotiating weapons they can use to really attack international shipping, but still, it pisses me off. It kind of pisses me off. But yeah, so that's what's up with him. There was a story just this week. He's resurfaced and he's trying to, and the Russians being the Russians, of course, never see a terrorist they don't like. The Houthis are literally the worst of the worst. And the Russians are like, yeah, let's give them weapons because the Russian government's evil. I'm sorry. And it's Ronald Reagan called them an evil empire. They are an evil empire. They still are. Thank you for the subscription, Blue. That was Blue. Thank you, Blue. Yes, somebody else, Eileen said he was in Germany. That's what I was thinking he might have been in Germany. Yep. A couple subscriptions here, actually. I never quite know, either PC Knoll or somebody for PC Knoll. And thank you for the rose, PC Knoll, as well. That's not English at. Yeah, we got a Russian getting pissed off. Sounds that you are talking lots of BS. No, it sounds like you are saying a lot of BS. Yes, but not sounds like you talking BS. That then makes you sounds like you talking Russian. So, well, the Germans let him out because we had the Germans let them out. I mean, it was because of us the Germans let them out. I don't think they were very happy about it. They did it because we begged and maybe we gave them something or whatever. You can totally hear the Russian accent in your head. Yeah. Thank you, Kofi, for the rose. WC, I'm sorry. That's horrible. Hope you're doing okay. Yeah, join us for some good news. At least a good time. Maybe not good news, but a good time. TikTok subs cannot connect to premium Discord. Luis is asking the question whether subscribers on TikTok can connect to the premium side of Discord. No, because TikTok is broken and TikTok is refusing to fix it. So that's the problem. I mean, I have been putting in requests for 2.5 years. TikTok tried to fix it like a year and a half ago and failed. I don't know why they failed, but the connection, and it pisses me off because it's a great way to pitch the subscriptions, of course. And yeah. So sorry about it, but it's a total TikTok glitch and there's like nothing we can do about it. And otherwise there's like 325 of you and it changes every day. I can't do it manually because I'd be losing my mind. Like also every time somebody unsubscribes, it just, you get it. I'd be going nuts every day with 325 manual people trying to keep track of them. So yes, it's a little long for TikTok to be broken, to be honest. But again, when I run TikTok, does the Florida hurricane really threaten people? Oh God, yes, Damien. Are you kidding? It's one of the biggest hurricanes on record, and it's heading right for Tampa, Florida. We've got people here from Tampa. Oh yeah, are you kidding? It's huge. Yeah, I mean, first of all, hurricanes are bad things. It's like tornadoes. There is no such thing as a tornado or a hurricane that's no big deal, and the media is only making it sound like a big deal. No, hurricanes are a big deal, especially when they get into the size of like category 3, 4, and up. I was reading about this the other day that like for Floridians, when they say hurricanes, don't worry, they mean 1 or 2 category, the lower ones. They don't mean the big ones. This is one of the big ones. So yeah. It can be a very bad deal. 15-foot storm surge, Emil just mentioned. One of the things you get with hurricanes is when the storm comes to the shore. Now, hurricanes, I'm trying to remember which way they spread, which way they twirl. I don't quite recall. But I think they spin. I'm trying to remember, actually. I think they spin. Do they spin counterclockwise? Thank you, Kiga. I was thinking counterclockwise. So imagine the hurricane spinning counterclockwise, and it's coming to the U.S. coast. This way, it's coming from the west near Mexico, coming east to Florida, right? So here's Florida. Here's the hurricane. It's coming at Florida. Well, as it's spinning like this, the winds, notice how my hand is going like this. The winds, when you go to the bottom, are pushing the water at Florida. So the hurricane's coming at Florida, and it's spinning like this. So every time the wind spins like this, it's pushing water at Florida. So you get what they call a storm surge. Yeah, the image might from the ground, the ocean at the land, and it could cause, like right now they're saying a 15-foot surge, 15 feet. 15 feet is 5 meters. So 5-meter wall of water coming from the scene and filling and flooding you. I mean, not flooding you or killing you, frankly, not just flooding you. So really scary, just really scary. So yeah, it's bad. It's very bad. Tornado with water. That's one way of looking at it. Yeah. Coriolis effect. What is that? Is that part of the storm surge? Is that the description of the storm surge effect or what? Does what depend, Joshua? Joshua's saying, does it depend on if it's Atlantic or Pacific or the hemisphere? I think that's a spin question. Now, I'm going to assume the spin is the opposite if it's south of the equator. Is that correct? That's my guess. I know the spin of the water going down the drain is supposedly different in South America than North America. I tried it in Argentina, and I don't remember if I could tell the difference. But it's supposed to be, that's supposed to be the difference. Yeah. So in the southern hemisphere, it spins the opposite, like down the drain spins the opposite way, which is crazy. And it's the same thing for storms, which is just wild. Yeah. So interesting. So interesting. But yeah, very scary. I think it hits, tell me, Floridians, does it hit Wednesday or Thursday that it's hitting? Oh, that's right. In the Pacific, they call them typhoons. I forgot about that. Yeah. They call them typhoons. We call them hurricanes, basically. Yep. 24 to 48 hours. Okay. So that's why I was thinking Wednesday, Thursday. Okay. So Wednesday evening, late night. Okay. That's what it is. Wow. Yeah. Bad stuff. Pacific. Well, tropical storms. That's a good question. Oh, excuse me. Ooh. Yep. So north and south. Yep. Anyway, yeah. So very bad hurricane. No, they're bad news. They're bad news. Take them seriously. People sometimes don't take weather seriously enough. Nighttime hurricanes are bad. Why? Because people go to bed, or because it's dark out, or what's the actual the badness of it particularly? Oh, Milton started in the Pacific. That's interesting. Oh, that's interesting. This new hurricane. Oh, wow. Oh, excuse me. Oh. Eyes are watering. Power outages. And yep. Jeremy, thank you for the gift. You can't see anything at night. Oh, I see what you mean. Okay. So like when you lose power at night, it's worse than power during the day. Fair enough. Actually, okay. Fair point. And at night, you're trying to sleep too, frankly, which can make it be a little scary. Right. You can't see the water rising. Oh, I didn't even think of that, Ray. Oh, that's interesting. Wow. Sunshine says, I had a limb of a tree fall through my roof in the middle of the night during a hurricane. Oh my God. Oh, that's terrifying. Wow. That's true. Tornadoes at night are scary too, because it's true. You can't quite see the sky. So you can't tell when the sky is worse. You know what I mean? Because during the day you get tornadoes. That is true. You get those of us from the Midwest are pretty good at looking at the clouds and the color and everything and going, okay, this is very bad. Like there's a specific green, this sort of emerald green that tornadoes that are sort of perfect tornado weather. I don't know why. But you're right. At night, you're looking and you're kind of not quite telling if things are getting worse or not. Yeah. Oh. My allergies are going off now. I'm like, Oof, got my Oy. Another American getting 7 years in Russian prison. I think you mean the guy that was a mercenary. He's like 71 years old, and he was a mercenary, an American volunteering to help the Ukrainians, and the Russians threw him in prison for like 10 years or something because, Russia is a dictatorship, Yeah, the tornado watching thing drives me crazy too. Jillian says, I have to get the neighbors in from tornado watching. In Washington, D.C., we have tornado warnings and nobody goes downstairs. I'm the only person in my building when there's a tornado warning that goes downstairs. People in DC don't take it seriously. We were brought up with it in Washington. I mean, I literally had to check because I was like, okay, when you're under a tornado warning, that's when you seek cover. I mean, I literally, because I grew up with this, and I was starting to think, okay, did it change since I was a kid in Chicago? Like the rules? Because in DC, tornado warnings, people go, oh, and no one goes downstairs. No one goes downstairs. And I do. Like I said, I go with my dog, and we look like the crazy people. Oh, I get my backpack. I put some money in it. I put my computer. I grab supplies for the dog, and I go downstairs. You know, I mean, it's crazy. See, we would always warnings for our neighborhood. We would always go downstairs. Yeah. Did the criteria change? I'd be curious to see. Yeah, because we always went downstairs. I mean, again, a warning. And then sirens, forget it. The sirens are scary because you can't always hear them. And where we live, I remember once working here, and only because I had the window cracked a little open, I was going, is that the siren? And then I opened the window and went, holy shit. And then it was trying to get my elderly parents to go downstairs. I was like, and Dad was losing it a little bit. He's like, why? I'm like, Dad, don't fight with me. Get downstairs. We had to get both dogs to go in the basement. I mean, it was really scary. There's sort of like a little shelter under our stairs. It's a pantry of sorts, but basically like a shelter area that we would go and hide during tornadoes. Very scary. So, before it was if there was a tornado on the ground. Now it's rotation. So now it's even more. Now so now it changed, but it changed to be even more cautious. And yet people are less cautious. So, F-16s, any progress in Ukraine? No. Some country the other day, remind me who, was saying that they're sending some F-16s as well, but there's been no news on any new F-16s showing up or anything. No. Thank you, Super Hornet. You slept in O'Hare during the warnings. That's interesting. That's interesting. Oh, you got SMS. Oh, that's interesting. I mean, SMS, the problem is not everybody checks SMS, but maybe enough people do that you call friends and stuff. Yeah, the Mirage 2000s, as Mike is saying, I mentioned that earlier. The French announced that they'll be arriving after the new year, I think. Thank you, Mustard. Good to see you again. Let me look really quick. What was the Mirage news? France set to deliver first Mirage 2000 jets in early 2025. So early next year, the first French fighter jet should be arriving. Yep. Which is good news, obviously. You still have sirens there? I think maybe you know what? We haven't done it in a while. Let's take another minute or two, and then we can go to Discord, since we never hang out in Discord. We need to invigorate Discord again. Because I've been here in Chicago, I just haven't had, I haven't been able to do the sort of daily private get-togethers we would have on TikTok and YouTube as well for the subscribers, and I just haven't been able to. But yes, we were going to try to do Discord today, so let's do Discord today. Maybe another minute or two here with everybody else, and then we'll go to Discord. It's free on Discord, but you just have to sign up. Download it and become a member of our Discord forum. I think it's called the Aravosis Report on Discord as well. But join us there. It's in the upper left portion you'll see just John's After Party, it's called. And usually we'll get up to 50 people hanging out. Yeah, Damien's asking, anybody else hear any news about the Russian stealth aircraft getting shot down, the stealth drone? Was there anything new about that? Did we get any new confirmation or anything, or confirmation that it wasn't true? I don't know. I didn't see anything today, but maybe. Frank Thomas is asking, how many Mirages is France giving Ukraine? I don't think that information is public yet. I've not heard it privately either, but I don't think it's public. Yeah, Mustard, that's what we'd said yesterday, that we thought there were only 3 or 4 produced, and one either got, shot down, or the Russians shot it down themselves was one possibility, which is very funny. All right, let's go to Discord, guys. Why not? 6 o'clock I always say 6 o'clock is a good time to do it, because then usually we go hang there for a bit, but it's less stressful too, because I don't have my camera on, just audio, and it's a much more I can sort of relax too. So, all right, I'm going to say goodbye here on on TikTok and YouTube. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for the gifts. Lots of gifts came in tonight. Lots of cool new Halloween ones as well. So thank you all for that. And let's go to Discord. Again, it's Aravosis Report on Discord. And we'll hang out there for a little bit too at John's after party. Okay. All right. Otherwise, I'll see you guys tomorrow. The show is every night, Monday to Friday, 6 o'clock Eastern time, US. So arrivederci. And see you guys tomorrow or at Discord right now. All right. All right. See you guys. Thank you. Thanks, DBZ. All right. Good night, Jens. I always like to wait a second. There we go. Before sort of